Hi, it's Megan. I shot a whole bunch of video yesterday and there was something wrong with the sound, so I'm reshooting it today. So if I get lost, because I can't remember what I've said before, it's because I shot this video before. So I've promised a bunch of videos and I've gotten a little behind, but this one is going to be in two parts because I promised to do Get Ready With Me from the ground up with nothing at all on my face. And I tend not to do the full face when I do a Get Ready With Me anymore. I did a couple earlier just because then the videos get so long because I like to talk, and I find that when I watch a lot of those videos I have to rewatch them because people move so fast. So I actually will usually do both eyes and I don't edit too much out so they get long. So this one is going to be on kind of my foundation do's and don'ts for aging skin. And then the second half of the video, and I'm going to cross-link them, is going to be the berry eye look. And so when I did my last eye look, someone said, can you do it with nothing? So this way we're going to get both, but then you can watch what you want. And Kit Kat has decided she wants to be in the video, which is fine by me. It might not look like it, but she's already had a tough day. She got in trouble for sleeping on my pillow, which is not allowed. So we're going to let her stay in the video for as long as she decides she wants to stay. So first of all, nothing on my face, nothing at all. And so a couple tips just for aging skin that I have found work for me. First of all, skincare is a huge thing, and in the morning when I do my whole skincare thing, I really do follow the Korean 10-step thing, and so I will have put on toner, essence, serum, face cream, eye cream, and then also a sunscreen. I always use sunscreen. So I've got all this stuff on my face and it's pretty wet. It takes about 10 or 15 minutes, 10 minutes to really soak in. And I tend to always, so not tend to, I put my foundation on at the same time. So once that's all on, I'll put a primer and then I'll put a foundation on. And the reason for that is I found that, first of all, some foundations can be a little dry, and my skin's a little dry, not super dry, because I put so much on it. But I found that if it sinks in, the foundation sinks in and mixes in with the more moist, damp other products, it doesn't settle into lines. It looks a lot dewier, it looks a lot fresher on, it looks better. So that's tip number one. Tip number two, I don't actually use foundation very often. Most of the foundation that I use just for the videos, because the camera, as you can see right now, like my skin looks a little, I don't know, red or uneven or whatever, and it's, in real life it looks a lot better. She's so cute. But in real life I find, especially as my skin gets older, I look better without too much heavy foundation. It just doesn't sit on my aging skin as well as it used to. So what I'll do is I really rely on good concealers, and I'll talk about that, in all the right places. And then I will do a BB, a CC, tinted moisturizer, the concealer, and then I have my meteorites, just a very light dusting of meteorites. And for me, that just makes my skin look dewier. Next of all, I always use a primer. I don't know if it helps. I think it does. And fourth, one of the other things I will do in choosing a foundation when I wear a foundation is if I'm going to do like a lot of shimmer or sheen on my face, I'm more likely to do a matte foundation. If I'm going to do just a really natural matte look on my face, then I'm likely to do one of those glow type of foundations. And the last thing, I don't use beauty blenders, and I was so glad when I went to the makeup show and one of the founders was on stage and he said he doesn't use sponges or beauty blenders either for foundation. He said he's old school, and he's a makeup artist who now, you know, is one of the founders of the makeup show. He said he's old school from New York and they use brushes, and I use brushes too. I don't use a beauty blender. That's just, you know, I just like my brushes. I've tried a beauty blender. I don't have anything against them. If you like them, great. I just like what I have, which is my brushes. And then another tip, I sometimes will put a little bit of a luminizing lotion, cream, into the foundation if I want to add a little extra glow. And last, I am not wedded to any particular foundation brand. I use a whole bunch of them. So let's start from the ground up. We've got nothing on my face. So as I look at my face, and I'm just gonna show you some of the products I use. And I like them all. I wouldn't use them if I didn't like them. A couple I love, but I tend to like variety, and part of that is because I do the videos, and so I'm always looking for new products, or people ask me to test products, or I don't know. It just gets all exciting. So start with nothing. And the first thing that I would do before I do anything else, and I'm not even going to show you the cream, because this is the cream I'm trying to use up, so I don't particularly like it. I will always, let's say I didn't have all my layers of stuff, which I don't right now, because it's midday, I will put on a lotion, and I'll put it on my neck too. So I will look at the whole face, including the neck, and view it that way. Next, I will put on a primer, and I have my primer. This is my favorite. I don't use it very often because it's expensive. Gucci Face. And then also, I'm always trying new primers, face primers, and I tend to buy this on sale. And Gucci doesn't go on sale very often. So again, I'm just using my fingers, just very lightly. So now my face is kind of moist. And if I'm going to use a foundation, a lot of times I will use a CC cream, a color correcting cream under it. When I was at the Giorgio Armani counter a while back, they were showing me the whole like thing that they do, and they have beautiful products with just the right amount of glow. The person that was helping me, the sales associate, did the CC under the foundation, and it was really pretty. The where is it? The Armani CC cream is one of the few products I can actually use alone in a video, and it looks like I have a foundation on, because the camera, like I said, makes a huge difference. So I will use a CC cream. So this is the Armani, and some of the CC creams change color. They come out, and I'm going to do this with the Knots. This is the one I have on Essential Beauty, but this is what I really like, the Knots One Stop Combination Cream. It comes out like a white, and then as you put it on your face, it just takes on a tiny bit of color, and it starts to even out your skin tone. Now right now, color correcting is a huge thing, and I actually ordered the Tarte color correcting palette in the Tarte sale because I wanted to try it out for a video, and so you'll see a video for that. I don't use a lot of color correcting. So the green is going to get rid of redness, the yellow is going to get rid of like black circles, the lavender is going to kind of get rid of sallowness and add brightness and glow. The pink, well, the pink, what I really like it for is if you want to have a little bit of a cooler tone, even out kind of a yellowness, I really like it for that. I don't tend to do those very often. Now I've got the other cat attacking. My skin is pretty even in tone, and I find that a CC cream is enough for me personally. I do occasionally use green primers. I have a green primer, a couple of green primers from Korea that I really love. I have not bought any of the newer American versions because the whole theory is a little bit of a knockoff on some of what the Korean brands have been doing. This one I also like, the Guerlain Meteorites Baby Glow. This is another product I can use alone, and even on camera, it looks really polished. So what we've done, we've put the cream and sunscreen, we've put a foundation primer, and now I've put a CC cream. The other thing I was going to show you before I move on to, there are a couple BB creams I like. I like the Dr. Jart. I also use the Naked Skin by Urban Decay, and this one worked really well for my skin, but recently they came out with different shades, which a lot of BB and CCs are limited in the amount of shades, and I think they now have 6 or 8. I also like cushions, and this is a DSB one that I have on Essential Beauty but won't have for that much longer. But a lot of the Korean brands had these BB cushions, and then now the American brands are copying them. And what I like about them, I'm just going to really quickly show you, is you can dot it on and you can really control the amount of coverage that you have. So in my opinion, when your skin starts getting a little older, too much coverage really does kind of sink in a heavy cakey way. It doesn't necessarily look amazing. Depends on your skin, but that's just my opinion. Okay, so now, sunscreen. Now I have a couple of foundations, and so I'll tell you why I have the different ones that I have, but I do want to reiterate again that I am not wedded to any. So this is a NARS, and I've tried the matte and the glow, and the NARS tends to be a little bit yellow in undertones sometimes, although they do have some that are not, and I don't use my finger, but we're just going to blend a little bit in. One thing to really look for when you're looking at foundation is what is the undertone. So if you look at kind of the spectrum of coverage, you've got the tinted moisturizers and the CC creams. CC creams really provide very little coverage. Then you have the BBs. So Dr. Jart's going to provide a slightly higher coverage. With the cushion, you get to control how much coverage, and then different brands like Etude House is very light. Vanilla's kind of medium. The one I had here, DSB, is a little bit heavier. But the BB creams are usually going to come in just a few colors. Foundations come in tons of colors, and that's because you're getting a heavier coverage and a better match your skin tone. So certain brands, I always think of like Estee Lauder and Elizabeth Arden as leaning a little cooler toned. Recently, the past 5-6 years, I think the foundations have improved a lot with how they look on. They look less fake. But best of all, they've really improved on matching skin tones and using different undertones. So I feel like Urban Decay leans a little bit warm or Asian skin, both kind of, you know, olives and the yellow tones. But it just depends. So NARS is a good, with my skin tone, it's always been a good match. Another one that's kind of interesting, and I wanted to show it here, Guerlain has this great terracotta. I'll take a little bit of this out. And I actually don't have a perfect match in this one. I have two of them, and I have to mix the two together. They don't have a lot of shades. And it's also a little drying. And so when I use a shade, can you see it? These are always so hard on camera because they're always so close to my skin tone, which is why I buy them. This one has a little bit of a heavier coverage, but it also gives me a little bit of a glow. I don't know how they do it, but it really does give me a little bit of a sun-kissed glow. So I like this one. If I remember when I'm doing a video, I'll use this when I want a summer collection. Mostly I forget. I mix this one with lotion before I put it on my face. Another one I really like is the YSL Le Teint Touch Eclat. And I got this one, and it's a new foundation, but I don't know, within 6 months they reformulated it. And it was already an amazing foundation. And this, I think I'm going to use this one for the video. This one gives just a really light coverage. It's one of the newer ones. And I have a Dior too, which I managed to lose. But that one also does the same thing. It gives a very light coverage, a little bit more natural looking than even foundations of a couple of years ago. The Kat Von D I use a lot for videos. When I first started doing videos, this was the foundation I used always. And I think as far as a really heavy full coverage foundation, if you need it, this one is really great. And I'm going to take my brush and just apply a little of this one. We're going to have a whole mishmash on my face, but that's okay because they're all foundations. So this one, if you see how heavy it goes on, if you need that kind of coverage, it's a great thing. I'm going to mix a little lotion and do it on the other side. We'll blend it in with some YSL. So now I've got a little bit of lotion. You can see it just goes on a lot better. This one was a little stiff as it went on. Now this goes on better. So what I'm doing, and we'll do the whole foundation application now. I have a brush. This is my Urban Decay, and this is the one I use. I use a foundation brush from them for kind of the bigger areas, and then I have a smaller brush from Knots, and this is also in the Essential Beauty site. You don't need to use this one. It's just I like the smaller one. This is what a beauty blender is going to do. It's going to get into that little like nooks and cranny areas that are harder to get into. And so I like this for the bigger areas, and I like this for the more fine refinement of the foundation. And I can't imagine not using both. So what I'll do is I'll take, and I need some more foundation now. So now we're going to do YSL. We're just going to mix it all together, which is what I did in the video I shot yesterday too. It's more fun that way. So now I've got the YSL. And this one's actually a little touch too pink for me, but it's such a great foundation, you almost can't tell. And so I'm just, as you see what I'm doing is I'm dotting and doing it kind of in a circular motion. I'm very lightly touching the brush onto my skin, and that's why I like a brush, because I do like having, I don't want an airbrush look, I like having a lighter coverage. I just really feel like with my drier Asian skin, if I put too much on, it starts looking caked in. And since what I'm doing is I'm actually dotting it and kind of mixing it into the lotion that's already in my face, I don't want too heavy coverage anywhere. I just want it really, really lightly dotted on. And then what's going to happen is it's going to sink into my skin, and we're just going to move ahead with letting it not exactly sink in. We're going to cake it a little bit, but that's okay. Then what I will do is I will take my smaller brush, and then I'll get in the inner corner of my eyes. And this, by the way, is where I tend to get dark circles. I tend not to get them underneath. I tend to get them right in the inner corner. So anywhere where there's a little darkness or a little red, like my nose can get a little red, especially if I'm sick. And there we have it. So now we have just basic foundation, and it's dotted and kind of blended into the skin and into the cream that's already on the skin. Then what I will do is I will take, I have to find my next products. I lost one of my products. Shoot, I did it, there it is. I favor the concealers that have more of a foundation sort of a texture to them. And so if you think about concealers, they range from kind of that heavy cream, which, you know, that almost like a cream eyeshadow, really thick foundation. And I've used that before. I've used the Bobbi Brown a lot. Those tend, again, if you've got any wrinkles at all, or if you've got drier skin, they tend to cake on the skin, and that doesn't look good, and it's aging. Giorgio Armani has, I use the Meister Eraser. Giorgio Armani has two really great, they come in a tube like this, and then it's just like a foundation, but a little bit heavier on. And what I will do is, I should use a brush, and actually yesterday in my video I had a beautiful brush that I don't have in my video today from Clos de Peau. And I also had the heavier foundation concealer, but since I don't really use that on a daily basis, we don't need it. So I will put the concealer using a brush or my finger, whatever I'm in the mood for or have handy, and just put it in the inner corner of the eye, dotting it very lightly. Again, this is going to just get dotted on, and it's going to sink into my skin. So right now, if I were to put powder on my skin, it would start to cake because my skin should still be wet. We're still going to go ahead with the video, but that would be an issue. There's also another product that I will use, and that is these little sticks. So this is Josie Maran, but I also have one from Vanilla that I really like, and there are a bunch of brands that do it. I think NARS has one, Urban Decay has one, and I will also dot and then dot gently in with my finger or a brush. So that was something that you missed because I wrecked the video. I had a brush. The other product that actually works, and I don't know, I was a little dubious about this concept. And then I got in a box, I got a Korean version of this. This is a highlighter, Stroke of Light, eye brightener. And Smashbox also has a really great eye primer, which I will use occasionally, but I always lose, so I end up not using it. This is a bit of a concealer with brightener in it. And you can use it alone, or you can use it with another concealer, because this is a light coverage concealer. And it really does not only hide your little issues that you might have under your eyes, but it brightens. So I really like these types of products. Next, once this has had time to sink in, I will use a light setting powder. Barely. I'm a huge fan of Meteorites, and this is actually the winter 2015, but it doesn't matter which one you use. And I just love the glow that Meteorites gives me. I lost my brush for it, but that's okay. So I will use this brush. I have a better brush, but I like something that has very widely spaced bristles so that I'm not putting too much on. I really want only the lightest coverage. A fan brush would work also. Just dot it on just to set enough and give me a little bit of a tiny glow. I don't want too much of a glow. I want to look youthful and like I've got that natural glow, but I don't want to look like a disco ball, because that is not a good look on me, personally. And if I put too much powder, it tends to cake and I tend to look older. So next, this is kind of the fun part. I don't contour a lot. And I just got in a gift bag, I got this Kat Von D Shade and Light Contour Palette. I'm really excited to start trying to use it. And I also got the brush, and I'm really excited to use the brush as well. Look at how great that is. Like for putting a little bit of like highlight, a little bit of contour. I'm really excited about it. But the practical reality is I don't do a lot of contour, and the reason is because I don't wear a foundation every day. I'm wearing a BB or a CC. And what I've found with contour, too much contour, is I do light contour. If I do too much contour, it looks fake. It looks really good on camera, but in real life it can look, at least on me, a little campy, fake, and overly made up, personally. And then also, I don't wear the foundation. You need that product to mix in and to properly blend. So since I'm using a lighter CC or BB, it's not working quite as well. What I do is I do use a matte bronzer. So for me, bronzer with shimmer really goes on the top of the cheekbones instead of a blush as a highlight on my face where the light would hit. What I like is I like matte bronzers, and I've got a Bobbi Brown here. I like the new Urban Decay. I like Tarte. I even like the Too Faced. A lot of these work on me. I don't like the old Urban Decay. I like the new ones that just came out this summer. I have a warmer undertone to my skin, so I also have like a grayish taupey kind of thing that's supposed to be a contour, and that works on me. It actually works on me better as a blush, oddly enough. But since I have a warmer undertone, the right bronzer can work really well. It's a contour, and then also, since I live in a warmer climate, even though I wear sunscreen, my face is always getting more sun than my neck, so there's some adjustment that needs to go on with the colors of my face. And then also, if you look at it, this is the way I look at it. You just took all the color out of your face with the concealer and the foundation, whatever else, and now you've got to add some of that back in. So the first thing I do is I have this brush, and I just bought a new one. I'm really excited because this is so old. I keep saying in videos I need to replace my bronzer brush, but I love it so much. It is flat, so I will use this whole side, and then I will also use the side because you can be more precise. So I will dip it like this. And first I do the neck, and I do the neck, like I said, because my face is always getting more sun. And so this is just very light coverage just to even out the skin tone. We've already put a little foundation there, but it's still going to be lighter. So we're evening out the skin tone. Then you contour just to kind of define the chin a little. Then you do the little, I do the little classic 3, and so I'm dotting it on here. I'm not actually brushing, I'm actually dotting right up here. And then here I will go on the side. I'll use the side of the brush, and you can also use a thinner brush. When I was at Urban Decay and they were doing their contour kind of tutorial, they actually used a crease brush for right in here, and it worked amazing because it was very, very specific in where you are applying product, and you don't want too much, and you're going under the cheekbone. So my cheekbone is right there, and I'm applying right under, touching the cheekbone. You can dot it on too. What I did yesterday is I built it really up a lot on one side. It's going to look awful in real life, but it's going to look like I have more of a cheekbone on here. So you're doing the 3, and then you're coming under the chin. We'll do a little lighter here. So we took color out, now we're putting color back in. And again, I'm using the side here. And there are all sorts of great brushes that are a lot smaller and thinner. And I had one right here. There's also a flat version of this one, which works beautifully. And so there, that's my contour. Now, I'm almost done with this video. We've defined the face, right? We now have our lines. We have the eyes, we have the cheekbones, we have the jawbone. Now we've got to do the eyebrows. And I don't do a lot on my eyebrows. I'll occasionally pluck a few extra stray hairs. My eyebrows mostly grow okay. They grow in a reasonable facsimile of okay. And I learned that I don't like the heavy eyebrows on me. I don't like to add extra color. So I just use a clear brow gel. I have brow pencils and stuff, but I end up just using a clear brow gel. And so I'll just brush it kind of into place. It's just what I like with my brows and with my looks. So now we've kind of defined, we've set our face, right? We've defined our lines and provided the basic shading. Next, I'm going to do a blush, and I'm using NARS Impassioned, which is one of my new favorite blushes. And I'm using a slanted blush brush. I just like this and how it applies. And it's pink that way naturally. I wash my brushes after almost every use, except for my foundation brush, which every time I use it absorbs so much foundation. I'll wash it once or twice a week. And so here I'm just doing a light sweeping movement. You can do a sweep, which is what I was growing up. It's how blush was done. You can do the apples of the eye, or you can do kind of a combination, which is what I do most of the time, unless I want a specific look. Now, last but not least, a highlighter. I almost always use a highlighter, and I really like the MAC Skin Finishes, although I'm not wedded, again, to any one product. I like a lot of different highlighters. This is Lightscapade. It's one of my favorites. The original Lightscapade I liked even more. It was like the champagne, very neutral, great for everyone, slightly cool toned. This one's still really pretty. It has these different colors in it. I don't know if you could see, but to me it's just a really subtle, not too shiny, not too metallic. I've had a huge pet peeve about too many highlighters being too warm and gold toned, which I don't know, I don't want to wear gold every day. And then in 2016, all of a sudden, all these great cool highlighters came out. But this was one of my classics. So what I'm doing here is I'm putting it on top of the cheekbones. And then you can put it on top of your nose, right here and right here. At Tom Ford, I had a tutorial, they showed me you can also put it right up here. It's kind of cool. And they very much at Tom Ford take this kind of an approach, which is you are setting the kind of parameters, the bones, whatever else, of your face. And then once you kind of define the lines and the shadows, then you start putting things like the colors and the eyeshadows. So this is part one. This is the Get Ready With Me, the basic base of the face. And next I'm going to do a video for a berry eye look. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to my channel.